Dr. Success, Andrea Goeglein, with us. Define happiness, because we were just talking about that again. I mean, what is happiness, and is happiness different to everyone?
Well, that is, yes, is the answer to that. As it's answered for delivering happiness at Zappos, what it looks like is our customers matter so much because you matter to us as a corporation. When you go into this company, what you actually see are people partying. And as I read through the story, you know, for me, this work is about what is your story. This young man, Tony Hsieh, started this book by going back in the 38 or however many years he's been alive, short history, and trying to figure out when did it happen. And he recounts a story about how he had a boss when he was quite young, like somewhere between high school and college, where the boss every day would come and put a cup in the microwave and walk away because he didn't want to wait the 3 minutes for it to heat up. He made tea, and Tony one day decided that every time the man left, he would turn the machine off. So the man kept coming back, and there was the water wasn't hot. So the last time the man came back, he was getting more and more frustrated. Tony put ice cubes in it. And what he remembered, what was important was, yes, the boss laughed about it, and then the boss knew what the joke was, but he noticed that everyone had laughed, and he noticed they really hadn't been laughing very much at work. And that's one of the things, when you mention Costco, you can go into an environment and leadership can have created the rules and regulations of the company can create a way that you will actually be more buoyant. That doesn't mean that everybody is happy every day, because that's what, when you started out by saying, what does happiness mean? You know, it's not an...
We're a product of our environment, aren't we?
In part, absolutely. We are a product of so many things, and that's what we have to be aware of. Like right now, I may be in a really joyous place. How come I'm not joyous? Okay? How come you notice the odd, you know, when you're on Southwest Airlines, when you're in Costco, you will notice if there is an employee who is not reflecting what you're used to as that company. If Zappos, if you get a cranky Zappos person on the phone, and I don't know the correct terminology for the person who takes an order, but you're going to know it differently than as it's described in this book, or if you're fortunate enough to have gone on tours, which they give every day. It's a party.
And you know, when you think about it, we really are counterproductive if we do not think this way, because if you open a business, I don't care what business it is, you're obviously opening the business to make money for yourself and the people who work for you. I mean, let's not be naive about this. This is why we're doing it. So if you do create a happy atmosphere, then people will come to you, patronize you, and they will give you their money. And that's what you want them to do, is give you their money.
And, well, you want to give them something in return. You know, that's the thing about making businesses thrive.
That's what I mean.
They've created an electronic experience that also ends up with a really good product, and even if you need to return the product, it's a good experience. What I like about this, which stays so in alignment with positive psychology, number one, this young man was hooked on books early. And when you go into his business, there is actually a complete lending library as you walk into the door. Now, I'm going to tell you, when, you know, like, are the same things going to make you happy? I had that lending library in our business also. Our business did not succeed. It is not about having the library. It's about making sure people are reading it, using it, getting them involved. That's what they did. We, you know, didn't necessarily do it wrong. He did it more right. And those are the types of things that when I read a story like this, what can I replicate in my, what can make my business better?
But isn't it, and Tanya said it very well, it's a value-added thing, isn't it? Obviously, we can get any kind of product, almost any kind of product in the world, in many different places. And it's the way, the value added is the way we're treated.
Yes, and it's the way leadership then is able to say, this is a part of my life. Books are a part of my life. I'd like to make them a part of you. So in a way, you actually become connected to the people that you're around. The other thing this company does is they socialize a lot. They're one big party waiting to happen. And what we know in positive psychology, regardless of your age, your ability to have human contact and to join together can actually mean more than a lot of other things that you do. Absolutely. I mean, the communities that they've studied around the world where there is longevity, there are communities of people where intergenerationally they're doing things together. We've lost part of that. Now, this is a very young company. When you go into it, the people, you know, are going to be way shy of 50 years old, but yet they've done things and they really hold on to the wisdom of what's out there.
As a psychologist and working in this industry for your entire life, or this profession your entire life, what causes people to be a hermit, in quotes? There are hermits out there. What causes that?
Well, again, you said, you know, your environment. There is actually 50% of what you come into, and we talked about it once in the book, The How of Happiness, where they were actually trying to divvy up, you know that you come in with about 50% of who you are, and then that means you can roughly work with 50. Well, if I only come in with 10% when it comes to my ability to socialize, if I work on the whole 50, I only make it to 60, but if I come in with 40 and I work, I'm going to be in it. So that's just a natural attribute. And there is nothing wrong with being reclusive as long as that actually satisfies your needs. It's about your need for socialization, and my need may be very different than yours.
If it feeds a need, there is nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Not every person would want to work at this company.
Not every person falls into this category.
I would think every person would want to be their customer, however. Everything that I've seen about the way they deliver service, which is in fact using, what he did was get hooked into some of the greatest authors in positive psychology, and then some of the greatest minds in the field, such as Marshall Goldsmith. I just kneel at the altar of Marshall Goldsmith. He is an academic, and he is the...
So to your point, everyone wants to feel special, and if you go to those places where you do feel special, you'll have a tendency to keep going back.
That's exactly right. Whether you're a customer, whether you're the employee, and this is just one man's story about how he did it with this particular company. And I like it because it was, he based it in his own love as he's kind of stumbled along, and he got into positive psychology, hired someone. They've got an in-house person who orchestrates this with him.
You stated that this pretty much summarizes and chronicles what you say continuously about positive psychology.
Right. Everything we need to know is in a book. Don't just read them, actually use them. That's exactly what he does. Socialization, absolutely critical. Self-awareness, absolutely critical. This is a story about a young man who wanted to see, how did I get there? Why did I get there? He used books to get there, and he created a party along the way. It's got everything if you're me.
and there's nothing wrong with having a party along the way.
That's exactly right, because what are our alternatives? You know,
when you say party, excuse me, Andrea, when you say party, you're not talking about...
I'm talking hats and blow...
But you're still talking about their structure there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do they have to have profit? That's why it's passion, it's profitability. What he was able to do, when you go around on the tour, any given department will stand up and start their own little dance jig, take out cameras, like you have a tendency of taking pictures when you go places. There's one group that stands up and takes a picture of you. It is just that ability, and they line the walls with pictures of parties that they've had. They sponsor things like the marathon in Las Vegas. And I remember the first year that, because I was doing that, I walked that marathon, and I was like, who or what is a Zappos? And this was around 06, 07, I can't remember exactly.
And what answer did you find?
I went home and found out. It was Zappos.com, and I started asking people, like, what is Zappos? And was shocked to find out they were in my community. And then I started paying attention to them. But they help create a part. They have helped, as an organization, show us a different way of doing it. This young man has done it with a team of people and great resources in positive psychology.
Do we lose discipline, though, if we get too loose and too party-like?
Well, let me tell you, sir, I'd like my balance sheet to look like his balance sheet.
Discipline or no discipline?
Yeah. When you go to... Let's give up the discipline.
When you go to Zappos, when you go to Zappos.com, what will you find?
Well, traditionally, you would find about every shoe imaginable, and traditionally, when it was started, they were actually going to the actual sites. They were like a site going to a site. Then they built warehouses. Amazon bought them. That's what was the impetus for this book. There was a very successful merger of Zappos into Amazon. Obviously, a company that knows how to deliver price, knows how to deliver product.
Amazon.
Yes, in the online environment.
Oh, yeah.
And they have, I went to this company 6-7 months after, and it's all still there. And that's what I also look at, and I believe that that's part of the foundation.
Absolutely. Andrea, as always, I feel happier already.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's not elusive like they say.
No.
So it is catchy.
It is. That it is.
Thank you very much, Andrea.